Good morning, everybody. I am about to make a little project for my daughter. She is travelling around. She's travelled across Australia recently. She's working over in Western Australia for a while, and her and her partner sold most of their things before they left, but she did leave some things here, and one of the items she left was a little sewing machine that she wanted to keep. It's just a beginner singer sewing machine. I'm just going to kind of draw the sewing machine roughly here so we have an idea. Okay, like that. Might get a pen. It's a bit blunt. Okay, and so what I'm going to do for her is make a little dust cover for it, because it doesn't have a cover. It's only a basic sewing machine, but she likes it. And I thought while it's here, it needs to be kept out of the dust and things like that. So I thought I would make a nice little dust cover. And I'm going to use the fabric that I got from Beebeecraft for that. She doesn't like, she doesn't want anything too fussy. She doesn't know I'm making it. She's more natural colours type person. So I'm using the beautiful, it's like an olive green and cream to make it. So I've cut the pieces out already because I just don't have the room in here to cut them all out, and I can't set my camera up on a tripod because we have a puppy at the moment, and it just won't work. So I've cut them out, but I am going to explain what I've done. So excuse me, I had to take the measurement from the winder at the back here, because that's the furthermost point. So I took it from there, the measurement, and I took it all across to the end. Now the bottom comes out further than the top, so I had to make sure I was getting the widest points, and I measured across there, and that measured, I'm trying to think how much that measured, 36 centimetres, if I recall, 36 centimetres. I also had to do the height. Now, these little thread holders at the top here do not come off. So I had to take it from there all the way down to the bottom here. And the height was 30 centimetres. Like that. And then I also had to do the width. So I'll do that over here. And that's like, the width of the sewing machine. And that was 19 centimetres. Now, just because I don't want it tight, I'm going to add seam allowances of 2.5 centimetres to that. And you'll have to do conversions into inches if you want to do this in inches, or measure your own sewing machine if you want to make one. I've made a sewing machine bag before, but this is the first slip cover I've made. So, and then I had to decide, do I want the cover to go like this? And there's the handle, say there. Do I want it to be that style, or do I want it to be like that? So in other words, is it going to be one piece going over the top and around like that, or is it going to be one piece going around like that? And I've decided on this one here. So I needed to have the measurement going from down the bottom here and all the way around to the bottom here. That equaled 86 centimetres. 85 centimetres, sorry. 85 centimetres. Going over all the widest parts and things like that. So I needed that for that long strip. I also decided that I would put a pocket on either side as well, there and there. So I measured, I had the width measurement, which was 19, and I just needed to work out how high, and I thought, well, I'll just do it like half the size of the height, which is 15. So I needed 2 pockets that were 19 by 15 times by 2. I needed a long piece to go all over the machine, which was 85 by, what's the width, 19, and I needed 2 of those, and I needed 1 of those, and then I needed 2 end pieces, and they would be, they start off and they're like a square, but I will have to round the corners, I think, of that, and they are 19 by 30, and I need 2 of those as well for the outside cover. But I've decided I'm going to line it, so I need to cut 2 in the dark green fabric. I need to, the 2 of those, and 1 of those in the dark green fabric, and the same again in the light cream fabric for the lining. I also have to cut some piping to go around, because I've got this black piping material here. So I've got 2 smaller pieces here, and these are to go across the top of the pockets. So I've cut 2 of those, and also 2 pieces to go around the seams of the sewing machine cover there. I've got those, and I used like the end pieces and things. I did cut the beautiful embroidered fabric, but because it's black and this is so light, I wanted it double thickness, so I used the edge selvage edge of that to help with that. So that's what I've cut out so far. What I need to do is work out my handle. Looking down onto the sewing machine, it goes like kind of like that, looking down. You've got there's 2 little thread holders at the side there that stick up. There's the wheel there. So to make a cover, there's actually like I think it goes the other way. There's a handle on top of the sewing machine like that. And I don't want just to have a big hole. I actually want to make the handle part cut out like that. So this will all be the dark green fabric like that around it. And I'll just have a hole where I can pick. Might have to go right to the edge there so you can get your hands under, just to have that U shape so you can get the handle. And like this part that goes inside the handle will be fabric as well. I'm going to try that. I hope that makes sense. But first of all, I'm thinking they're light cottons. I may use a wadding as well, just to give it a little bit of structure, but not be too thick. So I will have to, with wadding, I'll have to do the same again with wadding, plus wadding. Now, what I didn't say was all these I added 2.5 centimeters seam allowance as well. I think there's someone at the door. Just a moment. Sorry about that. It was just the neighbour. I'm expecting a delivery today, a new mattress for our bed, and I don't want to not hear them, because sometimes they don't leave it and you have to go pick it up yourself, and I don't want that because it's too big. So I've got to keep my ears open. Okay, wrong glasses. Okay, so I was saying I also have to add 2.5 centimetres to all these measurements so that I have a seam allowance. And that's being quite generous. You wouldn't normally add that much seam allowance, but I want it to have some wiggle room as well. And I'm hoping that's enough. So, as I said, I've cut them all out, and now I've got to put them all together. So I need to go find some wadding and cut those out. So I'll be back. Okay, I've got some wadding and I've cut it to size. I did make a slight... I went back and remeasured the outside part, and it wasn't 85. It wasn't 85 at all. It came up to something like, well, it was, the middle was 47, so it's 94. It was 94 centimetres plus seam allowance, because I had to trace the handle. There's the handle part. This is the centre of the sewing machine, like that, and that's the outer edge. I might write that there, O-U-T-E-R. Okay, and I know 47 is the measurement. I must have not taken into account the wheel or something like that. I don't know, but I'm hoping everything works out now because of that change of measurement. So we'll just do the best we can. So I folded the wadding in half, and I've added extra to make up the difference. I added another, I think, 9 centimetres. That was including a centimetre for seam allowance, just 1 centimetre because it's a seam, just a seam. So I get my head around this. I cut that 21.5. The actual measurement was 19, but of course I wanted a bit bigger. So I'm going to come out a centimetre. I'll allow it 1 centimetre. Like that. And this is how it will be. I'm trying to work out how I'm going to do that. So that's half there. Yep. What am I going to... I think if I cut this out, like that, and that, and like that. Okay, come down a centimetre like that, but it will have to be bigger than this. So maybe I will mark on here. I'll come in like that, just a little bit, about, because I want the hole to be bigger than the actual handle. To there. What's that going to be? That'll be open, won't it? How's that going to work? Is this right? It is, because it's on the edge. Maybe we'll bring it down just a little bit more like that. Because see how it's on the edge like that? Right. So that, it'll have to come maybe a bit further, because I only want like a, about like that there. And I've got to cut this out. There. There. Okay. Okay. I'm just trying to work out what I'm going to attach that to. It just seems strange. Sorry, out of shot. Right. So that's that. Would have been easier if it had been in the centre, but it's not in the centre, it's over to the side. Is that where mine? Oh, mine's over to the side too, but mine's a lot different to that. It's a lot different. I'm just going to have to, that will, yeah, it'll have to be stitched somehow to the side panels. I don't know how. Maybe I should have done it the other style. Oh well, we'll work it out. We will work it out, I'm sure. Okay, so now I have to do the fabric the same. So like that. Ugh, this is when I wish I had much bigger space. Let's get some threads out of the way. What's that? Right. So, where are we here? That way's the right. And that's like that. Onto there. Like that. I hope this works. Now, what about the lining? I'm thinking I may be able to cut this little part out because that's where the side panel will come up. And I'm thinking I'll just, I won't need that there because that's basically where the seam will be. And if I do that, that would be much easier to do. So I think I'll do that. Hopefully I won't regret that. But let's put, I think we also need this on now too, don't we? Which way does that go? That's the inside. Maybe this needed to go on before this. I think so. Let me have a look. Right side up, I think. Right side up. Like that. So that's the right side. And on this one, I've got to have the right side down. Oh, I hope I'm doing this right. The right side down. That way when I turn it over both right sides. Okay, yeah, that's right. That is right. So we'll need some pins, I'm thinking. Let's use real pins for this. The wadding's a little bit smaller, but that's okay. It'll still be in there. I'm going to... Okay. There. Like that. I think I will cut this off. Okay. There. Done. Hopefully I've done that right. So I need to stitch. Oh, stop it. Stitch around here, around there, up around and back and up there as well. And then I can turn it all through. Is this right? I actually don't, it's the lining I'm worried about. It's the lining. I don't think I need the lining in there yet. Do I? I need to think. I don't think I need the lining in there just yet. Where's the pink cushion? Okay. I don't think I do. I think I need to stitch it to the wadding though. Okay, so let's take the lining out and let's put this back. And I will pin that into place and I will stitch that on. Because I'm thinking I want the lining, all of the lining in one piece. Yeah. Otherwise I'll have seams all over the inside of it. I'm not sure I want that. But I have to stitch this now because of this opening here. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Okay, I'm going to do a 1 cent seam allowance around that, and then I'll be back. Well, that took a little bit of getting my head around. I took the lining back out, I put the lining back in, and I hope it's right this time. Mainly because I'm worried about attaching these side pieces, but I'm thinking it should be all right. I may have to unpick it a little bit there from the wadding. I'm thinking when I get to that, I'll work that out. Oh my goodness. Now I just need to cut into the corner a little bit. I'm not cutting the threads. So try and make sure you have a good sharp pair of scissors for that sort of thing. Like that. We can probably cut around there a bit like that, so it can fold in and there like that, and then cut into this one and this one as well, like that. Let's have a look. Oh, I'll get my thing I always forget to use. I do sometimes use my purple thing, but it does make the plastic a bit weak, so I'm trying to get into the habit of using this. So that should effectively work. Like that. See? I hope so. That seems a lot shorter than that now, doesn't it? Oh, I hope that works still. Look at that. Oh, but it's got to have the handle there. Of course it does. What I'm going to do is take it down and try it on the sewing machine and make sure it fits properly before I go any further. Then I'll have to press it, I think, as well, and work out how I'm going to attach the rest. Alright, I'm back, and the previous thing I did not work. It looked absolutely awful. So I had to redo it. So this is the redone one. I had to cut the whole thing out and replace it. This is not a how-to video, I don't think. This is just a this is what I'm doing video, or how I'm doing it video. When I had when I had this before, I'd placed it on the fabric, drawn a pencil line around it, and then stitched around that, like there, and it turned, oh hang on, I still might have it, here it is, it's in my bag here. It turned out awful, look, see? It turned out awful. Look how, I'll put it that way so you can see. Look how big it is. And the handle is that size. So it was like, it didn't work. It was so gappy and everything. So I had to sit down and think about it for quite some time on what to do. And so then I cut that piece out and I attached a new piece in there, trying to line it up fairly well. And I sat that there and I pinned that on. And then I stitched right on the edge of the paper all the way around. Of course, the fabrics were the other way around then. They were sandwiched like I'd previously sandwiched the other one, with the right sides together. And then when I'd finished stitching, I took it up, and the placement was wrong before as well. I took it up and then I cut in the middle all the way around. See, there we go. I just cut it, and then I cut into the corners. You can see that here. See, there's the corners there. If I put them in, they join. And I trimmed the corners there. And this is the same size as my handle now. I did try it over the top of the sewing machine, and it is so much better. I almost gave up. I was just, I don't know what I was thinking, but I thought I can't show people that. It looks, where's it gone? This one. It just looked awful, and it just didn't fit. You know, like when you put that against here, it's so out. It's so out. So that one's, I just cut it out and redid the whole lot. See, I've just put more wadding in there, and there's the other side of the lining as well. So then I've turned it through, and I've just pinned it for the moment just to keep it in position there. And now I'm thinking about my next step, and my next step I think will be for my piping. I need to attach it before I attach the side pieces. I have 2 pieces of piping here, and after all that, when I tried it over the top of the sewing machine, I don't think I needed to add this extra bit because it's way too long now. So I'll just trim it down when it's time to put it all together. So my brain's in the clouds at the moment, it must be. So I've got 2 longer pieces of piping there. I also cut another 2 for on the pocket pieces. So to make the piping, let's just put this aside. So once I'd done that yesterday, I just put it away. I was happy that it finally worked out, but it had really done my head in a little bit. Okay, so what's this? Oh, they're the side pieces, those ones. So we'll put those there. Over here. Okay. Then my tape measure, I can probably put that away now. I had a little clip on it, and I can't remember where I put the little clip. I'll get another one, otherwise it gets out of control. Okay, maybe we'll practice on the little one first. The little pieces first. Where's the other one? There. Okay. So these are the little pieces here. I'll be doing them in the contrasting fabric. I think what I'll do though is just line it with a bit of this, making sure I'm not using something that I don't need to use. These are just the offcuts of the same fabric, and these are all from Beebeecraft. Okay, back to the side. So and the only reason I'm lining it is because the piping is black, and I don't want it to look too dark. So now you can cut this on the bias if you want. I don't think there's a need for it in this instance because they're pretty well straight lines that I'm going to do. So now I could do it like that, or I could double it and do it like that, but that might make it a bit too bulky. So I'm just going to, this is more than enough fabric here. I'm just going to fold it over like that, and on my sewing machine I'm going to stitch along here to hold that all in place. I'll go and do that, and then I'll be back. Okay, so that's done. Don't go pulling your piping because you will pull it through if you're not careful. I will trim the fabric down here a little bit, and I used a I think it's a zipper foot, so that I could get close to the piping. Like that. I'll just show you on the pocket here. Just so you know what I'm doing. So these are my pocket pieces here. So I have the green, I have the wadding, and I have a piece of lining as well, like that, but just like the other section, I need my wadding, I need my lining section like that, and then getting the correct, you want the right sides together with your lining, but I need to sandwich this in here first, like that, and like that, and then right sides down. Not quite sure which way this is going. I don't think it really matters. I think it goes that way. Right side up. So now I'm going to put this one on top, like that. And I might use a few clips for this. Clip that in place. And that is quite a generous, that's the dog playing, that's a generous seam allowance, but that's okay because the pocket is quite deep. It doesn't need to be that deep. Yeah. So, and now what I'm going to do is once again stitch along there, butting my stitches up against the ridge of the piping, using my zipper foot on my sewing machine, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've done that line there. It's not perfectly straight, so I hope it's going to be all right. The piping throws you a little bit, and it is quite a thick piping, that one. It was the thinnest I could get from Beebeecraft. So now I'm lifting that over and going like that, and this is the inside, this is the lining side. I'm thinking I might need to trim some of that wadding down, and that's the other side there, so that worked all right. I might need to remove a bit of this here. Can you see how thick that is? I think I'll use a small pair of scissors, that would help. And just cut that down a bit. Just so there's a bit less bulk in there. And I'm going to do this method to attach the piping all around. Okay, get rid of that. Hopefully that will sit a little bit better now. I will press it on this with the iron before I put everything together, but that looks quite all right. I'm happy with that. Where's the other piece? So here's the other part of the bag. I'll do the other pocket, of course, and so, you know, that will stand out on the side of the sewing machine with the piping. But I'm also going to put piping all along this side of the cover and all along this side. I'll trim this up first so it's nice and straight, and I'll put piping on this side all the way around and on that side all the way around. But I'm only going to, oh, that's right, okay. I'm going to attach it to the green part only. Just the green, or the green and the wadding? The green and the wadding. I'm going to attach it to the green and the wadding because the, whoops, not that. The lining is separate and I'll have to pull that through at the end, I hope. So I'm going to do the same thing I did here and attach it just to the green and the wadding. And then I'll come back and show you. I've got to make my piping too. The piping has been attached to the center section there and the pockets, and I'm thinking I need to probably top stitch just along there to hold it in place. Be careful not to pull the piping out. I'm not sure if I've said that. Top stitch it and press them. Do I want the lining? I don't know if I want the lining top stitched in. You do be careful not to catch the lining when you're attaching this piping, because this still has to be attached to the sides of the bag. But before I do that, I want to go and try it on the sewing machine once again. Take these down, make sure they're not overly sized, because I want a bit of wiggle room, but it doesn't have to be too big. And just make sure everything lines up before I start putting these together. I will be, what have we got? So when I do it, I will only be attaching that there. I want to keep the lining pieces separate because they will go on at the end, I'm thinking. So I want that. That's the right side. And I want that, which is the side of the machine. And like I said, this might be a little bit bigger and I need to trim it down. And that will be attached to, like, if I get the middle here, it might be easier. That will be attached. It'll end up being attached like that, so that when it flips over, it will be like that. I have to curve the edges as well, the corners, sorry. But this is what I need to make sure I've got the right size. Yeah, so that'll get attached to that part there, so it's going to be quite a sandwich, and then that's the lining, and the lining will be attached the same. In my head this is working out, but I'm going to go and check for sizing right now. Okay, so I had a look and it seems alright. I just need a bit of a curve. That looks alright, doesn't it? Let's use that. Just a slight curve should do it. So I'll cut that one. Maybe we'll keep that to do the next one. Alright, so that gives it that curve around the edge there. Okay, so that's one, and I need to do the other one as well. Those. What I might do is just do a stitch those together before attaching it to the other part, just so they don't move around. Just in a long stitch will be fine, just so that it's not going to wiggle around too much on me while I'm attaching them all together. I'll just put a couple of clips in to keep it in position like that, and then just do a... So they're both done. It's just a stitch to hold those two together, so they're not going to be moving around. Now let's move one out of the way and get this. I'm going to make sure that pin holds that bit of lining back there at the opening. Oh, that'll be all right now. Yeah, I just took it out. I need to get the center of this, so putting those together. Like that. That's my center there. And this is... Okay, how big is that opening? That opening is just over 5, so 2.5, about there. About just there. Oh, I put that on the wrong side. Okay, it's okay. Just before there, so there. Just going to put a clip on either side so I can pin that properly. Ow, those pins are so sharp. Okay. As long as it's holding. There we go. Okay, so that's pinned in the center. And now I just, making sure that the piping is inside, I'm just going to this all has to be stitched on. I made the mistake of trimming this side down, so I've got to, there isn't a lot of excess there at all. Go back this way now. So basically where that line is where I need to be stitching. I can feel it. Like that. So it will go like that. Now I've got to get these corners right. kind of have to ease the corners a little, not too much, but just a little, just allowing a little bit more fabric for the corner. Just a little bit. You just see how I just pucker it up just a little bit. Oh, I need some more. Oh. Okay. Just so it sits right. And then you can continue going straight. That. Right. Yeah, that should be right. Just making sure so that when it goes around, see how, there we go. Like that, and I will go and do this side exactly the same, and also put the other side piece on to this side exactly the same. In the same way, I'll just be putting it in the opposite direction, and then I'll have to stitch it on. Oh no, I don't. Oh, that was fortunate. I still need to attach my pockets first. Yes, and like I said, the pockets are kind of oversized. Like there's the corner. The pocket doesn't need to be that big. It could come down just a little bit like that and just be a smaller pocket if I wanted it to be. I need to put those on. Oof, just as well I remembered that, isn't it? Hey? I think I was going to top stitch it first though, wasn't I? So I might just do that. That looks... It's staying the way it is. Just let me put it... So just like that. Just keeps everything the right way. Yeah. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And the other one as well before I forget. Okay, and then I will attach that. Oh, I'll show you how I do that. Okay. That's that. That. I'll just line it up with the bottom because this needs trimming. Actually, I might just take it up a little bit. This needs trimming because it's far too long. I think I mentioned that before. So if I go like that, I'll line those edges up there. Just that one or that one? They're all a bit... It's a lot to get through. My machine's pretty good at getting through layers though. It's a wonderful, it's a Janome. Not a newer model. It's a, what is it? My Excel 18W. I had one for over 20 years and then I replaced it with the same model because it was such a good sewing machine. Okay, so I'm going to, is that right? No, that's not right, Jeanette. Oh my goodness me. that's not right. It has to go that way, the correct way on there. That. Oh. Sewing machine might get through it, but I don't think the clips want to go that far. Okay, there, and there. There. And there. So I need to stitch that onto there. And that onto that side. Like that. Maybe I'll use a pin. It's a lot to get through. Oh, that's bending that pin. Okay. Like that. And I'll trim it once I've done it, perhaps. Another pin, another pin. And I'll do the same at the other end. So I'll have to take a few clips off, put this on. That way the pocket's attached. And then go ahead and attach it to that. And that's going to be a lot of layers to get through, isn't it? Okay, so yet another error. I had stitched all the piping on the centerpiece and was putting the pocket like that. And I realized that's going to be like that. So I've had to unpick this so I can lay this here and then put that over the top like that, so that when it's attached to the outside piece, the piping will still be there like that, and it will look much neater. It's a trial and error, this. I hope she likes it when I'm finished. I hope I like it when it's finished. Oh my. Well, just shows you we just have to think things through sometimes and unpick. There's nothing wrong with unpicking. That's what the good old unpicker is for. Okay, so that needs now to go like that, and all of that be stitched on. Like that. Okay, so I'll go do that. Okay, I'm just showing you how I have attached the other side. I've already stitched this side. That's all done. And now I'm just completing that, and then I'll turn it through and see what it looks like. Okay, that's stitched. It took some getting through. You can see all the layers there. It's really quite thick, so I'll have to thin some of that out. But let's have a look what it looks like. Hopefully it'll be fine. I've got a couple of pins in there I need to watch. Okay, so that's that, and that's that side. Do you see what I mean about the piping? This one would have been over the top of that one, which wouldn't have looked very nice. So let's have a look. I need to try it on the sewing machine. It looks quite alright. Oh, I hope so. Kind of seems to have been a struggle all the way through this one, so the corners are fine. See, that bit of easing just helps things sit nicely. Okay, I'm going to go try it on the sewing machine. All right, it fits. Yay! I'm so happy with that. And that will need trimming. I measured it needs trimming 5.5 inches, but we'll say 6 inches. I will do it in centimeters as well. Because it's a bit long, but I'd prefer it being a bit long than too short. What I have to do next is turn it back the other way. I do have to trim those seams as well, but I need to do the same with the lining, but there will be no absolutely no piping with the lining. So the first thing I got to do is round these corners of the rounding of the lining pieces. So okay, that will do. Just so it's got that same curve. Get it center. Like that. There and there. Okay. We'll get one piece. So this is the center here, about there, not quite where that crease is. And I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to do it all the way around. But like I said, I think I will give this a much wider seam allowance because it is the inside, and you kind of want it pulling towards the seam allowance rather than the outside. I think I need to, did they all, oh, but I added, did I add with that? Yes, I did. Yes, I did add. So I'm going to leave that longer down the bottom here, about like that, I think. That should be all right. Sorry about the noise my dryer was making. It's got something in it that makes it make a noise. And like I said, I will just do this exactly the same way. So there's my curve, there's my straight. What I need to do is I need to make sure that is like that. I just sort of ease it in a bit. Because I want all that fabric to fit along here. And it will, but you just give it a little bubble in there and ease it, and as you're stitching it, you're not creating pleated bits, but you're just easing all that fabric gently into the corner piece, so it ends up with a nice curve, but enough fabric to go around the curve. I hope I explained that all right. So that's one, and I'll do the same on the other side, and I will stitch it and then have a look at it. Okay, so the lining is all stitched now. I'll have to go in and trim some of this bulk away, I think, and I may I've still got some threads from when I was unpicking. I may, the same way I did the top stitching across that pocket, I'm thinking maybe I should do it along here, but I don't think it's necessary. It's all right on the pocket, but I don't think it's necessary there. I'll just cut the bulk down a bit so it's not so bulky. And then I have to do a weird, I'll have to turn it through the other way, I'll have to kind of get the lining, all the lining, through that handle hole like this and bring it out this way, I think. Oops, we have a pin there. Let's get rid of that. And once I've trimmed all the bottom up so it's even, see how it's still like this and the other side's like that. It all needs cutting to the right length. And then I will match up my seams. So that will go to that seam there and that one to that seam there. And I will stitch those together, but I'll leave a gap because I'll have to turn it through, like you do when you make bags and things like that. But I need to even up the hemline on both of them first. So it's not time for that yet. So, and that's why I stitched this part of the lining to this to start with, because it wouldn't have been neat like that hadn't I done that. Okay, I will go and try it on the sewing machine with the lining on now. And then I'm going to have some lunch and think about it before I do anything else. But I will have to measure and trim it all to size and cut that bulk out in here as well. Oh, hope that wasn't in the way. Oh, goodness. It's now all stitched and I have to turn it through now. I've left a little gap. I'm hoping that little gap will be big enough. It might, we'll see. I did it on the straight part at the side there, so I'm thinking maybe it needs to be a bit bigger. That's not much of a gap for this great big. I can't even get my hand in it. Maybe I will have to open one side up a little bit more. Yeah. Okay, let's hope that's enough. Now I can get my hand in there, see, and pull the other part. And the idea is just gently, you know, there's no hurry, just gently push it through, bit by bit. That, just keep feeding it through. It gets easier the more you do it. I'll just take that over there. You can't force anything though, because otherwise you might rip the opening. Okay, it's all inside of it, and now I have to pull it through. And this one's like a double turn through, because now that it's all like that, and I hope this works, it should work. Oh, it's getting warm today for some reason. There we go. Now, oh gosh, I hope I've done this right. Oh, it doesn't look like I have. No, I really thought I... Oh. How did that not work? That should be inside of here. Oh. Oh my goodness. How did that not work? It worked when I practiced it, but it wasn't stitched together, so of course it worked. Maybe I have to do it by hand. I know there should be a way to do this. That should go in there, but it can't. Okay, I have to unpick that. So I unpicked it all, and I'm going to have to hand stitch the bottom because my brain just won't, I can't work it out. I just can't work it out at the moment. So what I've done is I've turned up a hem. I've used the stitch line from the sewing machine on both of them, and I'm meeting them together. And I'm just going to slip stitch, not going all the way through. I don't want to catch the lining on the other side. I'm just going through the wadding and the green cotton like that, and I'll just do a slip stitch all the way around, and that'll have to be it. Just making sure I don't go through that back lining, because see how that's still loose there? And once I've done it, that will go like that, and I will press it. So I'm going to be doing some hand stitching. This has turned into quite the project. I'll see you when it's all done and on the sewing machine, and we'll see what it looks like. Alright, so this is the finished cover. I'll just move up closer to it so you can see. This is where the handle part is. I can just lift that up and carry it around, or she can. This is not my sewing machine, this is my daughter's. I'll just, let me turn it around. There we go. So this is one end of it here. I think it turned out quite all right. There's the other end of it there. It's a little bit hard to film. There's the top. Now, as you can see, there's a bit of room around that handle. In hindsight, I probably wouldn't do the handle opening like that the same way. I would probably just have an opening like a rectangle, and maybe then stitch on a flap that would open to get the handle, and then just do that. But I'm leaving this as it is after the grief it sort of gave me. It does work quite nicely. You just put that down, carry it around, and then like that. This is the high point. So as you see, the high point, it has a bit of an angle, and I didn't take that into consideration, but it's okay. It's only just a high point. It's because it's only a little machine, but see these? They don't move. They stay there forever. And they're higher than everything else, whereas like on my machine, they come off, those sorts of things, although mine's inside the lid. But because that's the high point, it just sits a little bit different. But yeah, it's just a little beginner machine, this one. Like that. And then this just goes over it. Let me just put it back on. I need to put the camera down for a minute. So there we go. That is my project for Beebeecraft. I'm really quite pleased with how it turned out. The fabric worked beautiful. I've used beautiful olive green fabric with the cream colour embroidery on it. I've also used the cream embroidered fabric for the piping and also for all the lining inside. You can see the lining on the pocket there. Lovely fabric. And the piping cord, I also used that from Beebeecraft this month. I added wadding of my own into it. I'm glad I did that because it gives it a little bit more structure. Covers, it's just a loose cover to keep the dust off it basically, but I am very happy with it. The pockets, I'm so glad I added those. They're nice and sturdy, And I was thinking I might just make a little drawstring bag as well out of the same fabrics to put the pedal, the foot pedal in as well. And then I can just tuck that inside the arm part out of the way, and they're all kept together. Tied around the top part so that it doesn't fall out, and that might work really well. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'll put links to the products that I used from Beebeecraft in the description box below, along with a coupon code if anybody is interested. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye.